Get started. If everyone just post up in the chat where you guys are calling in from, for you guys that are new, the Sunday Market Blitz, we basically just go over all of our analysis for the week. We've already posted it inside of Telegram and Discord as well. So it's just our swing trading strategy. So we're going over the higher time frames, 4 hour time frame, daily time frame, weekly time frame. And then you can get trade ideas out of this for the week. Normally, I give out like one or two trades actually on the call as well. And then we'll save the end for some updates and some other things that are going on. So, welcome everyone to the call. And thanks for joining. And I'll let you share up and you could pretty much just get started with it.
Yeah. Yeah, let's kick off. See here. All right, guys. So yeah, as Angelo said, it's pretty much we're taking a look at the week ahead, right? So we've come up with two scenarios, both bullish and bearish, and we're pretty much just gonna base it off this 4 hour time frame for the most part, and kind of discuss, which is the most likely, why, and so on. So all these analyses are going to start off with, at least for mine, are going to start off with me grabbing the overall trend from the higher time frame. So we're here on the daily. I'm just looking for the overall trend, seeing where price action has been recently in the last few months here. Okay, and I want to see which kind of levels are really holding structure on this level, on this time frame. So that's going to help us determine on the lower time frame what the real potential is for movement. So here on the daily, let's just see where price action has been. We were very bearish for a while. We consolidated a little bit down here. We went bullish and then came back down. And so pretty much this was just an area where this was just a range in here. Once price action had gone into this area below the monthly, it went a little bit lower, but didn't really make any significant moves much lower than that. So, we've seen price action transition through this monthly again and again and again. And here, we're seeing something that we saw in the past. It was definitely bullish. As long as we're pretty much above this monthly, we're looking for those higher lows that could then send us, up into a higher area. Okay, so for now, definitely bullish as we're above that. So let's go to the 4 hour and just see what the dollar is doing now. So yeah, definitely last week was bearish. We saw the dollar kind of drop off. We saw a break above the range, didn't follow through with the conviction that we wanted to see, kind of just low volume, and then transitioned and then fell back down into the range, picked up momentum, and fell pretty low to the bottom of the range and then, lower. So this is kind of an area where we really just have to wait for something to play out. Either it's going to pull back into the range a little bit, just resume consolidation back in here, or it's kind of just going to form a lower high and start pushing lower into this monthly again. Like, see how these lows over here were? Massive rejection off this monthly. That's definitely a move as well. But either way, it's got to either consolidate for a little bit now and then push lower, or it's just going to pull back and kind of make a push that we saw back here, like a push back to the top of this range or something. So we'll see. But either way, expecting good movement on DXY, which is nice. See, the volume is picked up, so there should be some other good scenarios on pairs here. So let's move over to AU, jump to the daily time frame. And we're going to do the same thing, right? Looking for the overall trend, see where price action's been, just take a quick glance, and then drop to the 4 hours. So we were very bullish, huge range in here, good volume though. So there were a lot of setups that we all covered in that during this period. So just huge, huge range. And then finally it broke support here at the weekly, 0.76, and then dropped pretty well. I mean, good volume to the downside, a lot of bearish pressure. And we've recently just broke another support level at 0.74. So let's go to the 4 hour now. We are very, very bearish. This is good. A clear trend that we want to be trading. And let's see where we are now. Okay, so we had a sort of pattern here, descending wedge pattern, continued by breaking 0.74. And now we have some other pattern here, but essentially this is showing that we have resistance here at 0.74, definitely confirmed, and the volume is increasing. So there's really only one way that we're interested in a trade right now, because this could obviously keep dropping, right? We're kind of midway through the zone now. There would have been a trade entry on this engulfing, so it's kind of midway through the zone. So it either is going to keep pushing down to 0.73 and then we'll reanalyze, or it's going to pull back, give us another lower high opportunity just below this resistance. So that would be good to see. But then if it goes bullish, we just need to see a transition through that same resistance level, tested as new support with a higher low, and then definitely get some long opportunities in there and target resistance. So yeah, good movement here as well. Just want to see that volume continue, and then we'll see hopefully good formation that we can then enter on. But yeah, AU is looking pretty good. I mean, we'll see how this plays out. But AJ is looking definitely more probably closer to a trade opportunity than AU. So we'll get into that now. And we're going to do the same thing. Daily time frame. It was very bullish for a while. Started consolidating. Volume was kind of dying off. Slow transition here, and then bearish momentum steps in. Blows through multiple support levels. We start getting lower highs, and now we are in a bearish trend. Okay, pretty strong one at that. And it looks like we're going to continue lower. Just established a massive lower high right here below this 200 EMA. So let's get into that in the 4-hour. We're full on bearish here on AJ. Okay, let's just expand this a little bit. Clean this up. All right. That's good right there. All right, cool. So strongly bearish. As you can see, this was the weekly level back here that we broke through, 83.25, and just kind of dumped from there. Huge bearish pressure. Here was that lower high on the pullback. Nice little head and shoulders opportunity. Broke through this level again, and then fell all the way down towards 80 flat. So this is a big psychological level in here. Pulled back for a lower high to test structure, and this is great now. Like when you see this is confirming the lower high, and now we're also entering on every potential pullback that would make sense. So right now would be a good opportunity. When this was breaking, this was one opportunity, and then also on the retest, which is where the most conservative short opportunity would be, which is what we're pretty much waiting for now. Right, this could definitely pull back, test this broken 80.75 area, give us a lower high, and then we're shorting into significant key levels. So this would be good.
Yeah,
All
this
right,
looks like a good
significant.
trade.
Yeah, this one looks like it even actually could pull back a little bit to here, throw some wicks into the 38.2. Even could it could even pull back to this area and still be pretty good. So this one's going to be high on the watch list this week. Just a few confirmations away, but probably afternoon Monday trade or something. We'll see. And then for us to be bullish on this, it needs to break back into this range first off, and then be a full-on bullish trend, which is what we want to be trading. That's where the best trades are going to be. We need to see a transition of 81.4. So just higher lows above that, and then you can get some good trades into resistance levels. All right, so that's AJ. Let's move over to UJ. Daily time frame. This one had a huge amount of volume at the end of last week.
What
We'll
the
get
fuck
into
is
that in a
going on?
second.
What the hell is going on with this thing?
Yeah, it's been all over the place. Super choppy. Either way, guys, this shows kind of indecision here. It's not really reaching much lower than this low, and then obviously
Yeah, this
just
is
testing.
looking like a nice short, honestly.
Yeah, so it could keep dropping. That's where I have it right now, and then
Mhm.
I have it hitting 109, and then we'll see how it reacts. But let's just see for a second. On the
Why on
overall,
the 4-hour though was that candle like all the way down there? Did it open?
yeah, no, it closed. It closed with huge volume. So I'll show you that in a second. But overall here, we're definitely bullish. We did see a transition here, but this is more of a 4-hour bearish trend. And overall here on the bigger picture, definitely bullish. Pretty much as long as it's above this level, 109, 15. And then if we start seeing lower highs below that, we're definitely bearish on the daily. But let's go to the 4-hour for a second. This is where it's more clear, right? We had price action pull back to 110, and then it started consolidating with large volume, and more so it just didn't know where it was going. You're getting these lower time frame trends. These are like 1-hour trends in here, just up, then down, then up. So more or less it was consolidating here. And then we finally got a lower high confirmed below 110. It broke it, pulled back, huge wick, and then it kind of followed through. And then same thing here, pulled back a little bit, new lower high, and then dumped. So this is, yeah, a lot of volume there. So really the only way to play this going into this week is it's either going to reverse, because usually you'll see a gap or something when this happens, and it'll reverse, pull back to 110, and then we'll just look for a lower high, another rejection like over here that we could then target lower on. Or it's going to continue with this momentum. Look for a break of 109.15, and then, you know, a lower high. That's what we want to see for the most part. And then we can start targeting lower again. But either way, you know, you just got to wait. When you see the market open with a bunch of volume or close with a bunch of volume, you really just want to wait and see what the next move is and then plan from there. That's, I mean, you know, you can't take a trade on this either direction. The spread's probably going to be crazy. You know, your risk to reward's going to be thrown off. But it's better just wait when that happens. But yeah, that's UJ. So EJ is actually looking pretty good, but there's kind of you know, a time pressure on it. Like I'll explain in a second, but it needs to make a move soon or the trade is going to become invalid essentially. So we're here on the daily. Overall, very bullish. We did turn bearish once this level had broken. Massive transition there. Started getting lower highs, lower lows. You know, clearly we're now bearish. But we are now back at the 200 EMA, seeing some consolidation now. So a large move is, you know, probably coming. Waiting to see some sort of conviction and going to see where it's going to go. But we are pretty much bearish. Let's go to the 4-hour now. And yeah, just a bunch of consolidation. However, we do see that there is a higher low above 130, which technically is confirming a transition and looking for, you know, some sort of bullish move to follow, right? But we're going to take our time with this one because we really just need to see conviction at this point. You know, still kind of consolidating. You know, we didn't see that explosive amount of, you know, volume after this candle that we really needed to see. So we're just waiting for that now. So if you see a nice large bullish candle or like even a couple in a row, 3 in a row, bullish variation, that'd be enough to enter on. There'd be a pretty good trade opportunity here. But this is also really clear that if we break back below 130 and see a lower high, that we're definitely, you know, able to capitalize on a short scenario here. So that's why whichever way this goes, whenever that volume kicks in, whenever we see that conviction, we got a pretty good opportunity here on EJ, which is nice to see. Good amount of pips on either direction, to be honest. Yeah, 130 that direction, about 120 to the downside as well. So yeah, not bad. Let's move over to gold. So unfortunately, gold, guys, unless you don't mind trading ranges, there haven't been that many opportunities on this. Because clearly you could see, before I go to the daily, you could just see on this time frame that we've been consolidating for a little bit. You know, this is a huge range. Every time it gets near 1825, we'll see a reversal. Every time it hits 1800, we'll see a reversal. So, I mean, there's definitely some opportunities in there if you were just short or playing off of that alone, these levels. I personally don't trade ranges, which is why I am back on the daily time frame, still waiting for this to play out and to show me something good. Because I mean, whichever way this chooses to go, there's no doubt going to be, it's going to be a large trade. It's going to be a good amount of movement because of all this consolidation. You know, yeah, there's good volume now kicking in, but it's still considered, you know, consolidation. And once it does start to kick in, or choose a direction rather, you'll see the volume kick in like this. You know, moves like this. Large swings is what gold is really, you know, about, especially recently, you know. So that's pretty much what we're expecting. I want to see it break out of this range. Simply, you know, my first pick would be a short because we've been bearish, you know, so recently with huge volume. So I'd like to see that trend continue. I'd like to see the break below 1800, lower high, and then entering on you know, some strong bearish setups. Target much lower. First target would be around 1740 or around 1720, you know, a negative 27 fib level. And then, you know, we'll play it from there. If it chooses to go bullish, I want to see it form a higher low above 1825. So literally this trade path here, you know, and then we'll start targeting resistance and so on and so on. But for right now, really that all that's been available on gold is essentially range positions, which, you know, it's not a bad thing. There's just more risk presented with it. 'Cause essentially, if you're in a range or something, or you're trading a range, like if you want a couple, you know, especially depending on how strict the range is, if you're in a trade and then it chooses its direction and the volume kicks in, that thing's, you know, skyrocketing. You just got to be careful. You know, it could always hit your stop pretty quickly, especially with fake outs and stuff and so on. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I always end with gold. You know, quick recap. Let's go over just a quick list here. So DXY, waiting for that to make a move here. AU, bearish, kind of midway through the zone, waiting for it to pull back. AJ, close to an entry. I think a pullback is definitely coming. There'll be a better entry soon, probably tomorrow. UJ, waiting for it to kind of continue here and then show us something. EJ, waiting for conviction, and then gold. Yeah, gold. Gold patch. All right, so I'm going to pass this off to Angelo. And yeah, that's pretty much it. That's all I got for you guys. Are you muted? Yeah, you're muted.
If you got any questions, just post up in the chat, guys. I'm gonna run through the major pairs here, MGJ as well. And I haven't even done my analysis. Like I said on Friday's session, like I like to kind of disconnect for the weekend, then come back, look at everything pretty much with like fresh eyes here. As Nick was saying with DXY, last week we had called out the wedge pattern that was forming here at the top. And then as you can see, the wedge pattern ended up playing out, failed to move higher, broke out, broke to the downside. If we come up to the weekly, we can clearly see that there's this like huge weekly level here. I'm just gonna change this. So we can clearly see there's a weekly resistance level. And what is this based on? It's based on all of the support going back all the way to 2015. Boom, support there. And then we have support right here, support right here, support here, some resistance there. So we came right back into that zone and rejected it perfectly. So most likely this is going to continue to push to the downside. What's that? Was that MT4 credentials on? Adam, which chat did you see that in? The profits one or no? But yeah, DXY is looking to be pretty bearish. I mean, as we could see previously, hit this level, push down. You know, we just hit that level again. So I'm expecting it to kind of reverse here and to go to the downside. Now, this is important as we're about to start looking at all these, you know, major pairs here, all quoted with the US dollar. This is also reversed, you know, is pretty bearish now, forming these lower lows and lower highs on the 4-hour time frame. So let's head over to UCAD. This will be the first one that we look at. Last week, we did have an entry right in this area. So we are still maintaining this trade that was given last week. And as you can see, it was a rectangle pattern, broke out of the rectangle. That's where that's where we shorted it. Let's just go up to the weekly though, and just see, you know, why do we take that trade? Where are we now? What should we expect? So this weekly time frame, clearly we had lower lows and lower highs forming, lower low and lower high, lower low and lower high, lower low, lower high. And then at this point, we retested this previous level, the support and resistance level, rejected it, large wick to the upside. And then last week was that push down, which we were anticipating. And now going into this week, we are now testing, which is interesting, this little level. So previously, this is where I was looking for price to reverse off of, right? I was not expecting price to make it all the way up here. I was expecting price to reverse from this 1248 level, but it pushed above. So now we're kind of doing like a break and retest of this area. So coming down to the 4-hour, I personally got out of this trade because of this. So we were pushing down. Now we just had a lot of momentum kick up. We've got this support level here. This thing has a lot of room to retrace. It could actually retrace now all the way up to this level. So I figure if price is going to potentially retrace that much, I might as well capture my profits down here and then give myself like an opportunity for a reentry. So once it does come back up, I'm just gonna clean some of this up. Once it actually does come back up to test this resistance right here, that is when I'm going to look to get on this. So there's no trade at the moment on UCAD, at least a swing trade. You know, if you wanted to intraday trade this, you know, get a little crazy on it, you could go down to the lower time frame. But there's no swing trade entry for now. We're just waiting on this pullback and then just trying to continue kind of with this downward trend. So that is UCAD. Let's just pop back to DXY really quickly. So DXY is also kind of at the bottom here. We had this large push up. I am anticipating DXY to now come back up and to retest. Let's just scroll out and see what is like a significant level here on the 4-hour time frame. And I can see we had this level right here. So I'm just basing this off of this is that previous high point, obviously significant. We also had a little support level formed here. We had this support level formed here. Most importantly, this is the previous low right there. And then let's just bring on our fibs if we really want to. We can see, we have a confluence area at this 92 500 area. So I could expect DXY to come up here, retest this zone. And this is an area where it will most likely reject and continue to the downside. So if DXY starts to move up, think about UCAD. UCAD will most likely push up as well because it correlates really damn close with DXY. This will most likely push up as well, and then we'll get that re-entry opportunity up here at about 125 400. So that's what I'm targeting UCAD. So no trade on that one right now. Let's just go over to GU, and I'm just gonna kind of take these things off, and let's just start with kind of a fresh outlook on this. I'm just gonna zoom out. We've obviously got our weekly levels placed. We've got support here. We've got resistance here, resistance here. So that's my upper level, and then my lower level, we have all resistance along this area, along with kind of this break and retest where this acted as major support right there. So those are my two main levels on the weekly time frame. And then now we are just kind of in the middle of this, but we can look and see we are actually retesting a support level right now. And last week we had this long wick to the downside, and now we're just pushing up. So last week closed, or 2 weeks ago, long wick. Last week pushed up, finished it off with some buyers exhaustion there. So some sellers did actually step in on this one. I'm just gonna come down to the daily really quickly. This is really interesting. Overall, this is a bullish trend. And since we did find support at this level, I am looking for this thing to come up and to potentially retest this previous resistance level up here. So let's just come down to the 4-hour, see what this is all looking like. Yeah, Ty, I was actually thinking on this weekly time frame about the potential for it to be a head and shoulders pattern, but at this time I'm not gonna mark that out. I'm gonna leave it for now, but that's a decent idea. This is kind of
The
what it
only
would
thing
look.
that stinks is that giant wick. That's
Yeah,
not what you want to see.
no, this is what it would look like. Yeah, I'm not too. You could certainly build confidence around that idea, and it's could be a good idea, but because of this wick, because we followed it up with this large bullish candle, I am kind of looking for this thing to move a little bit more to the upside. Coming down to the 4-hour, we can clearly see the trend has shifted. The trend was very bearish. We had been forming these lower lows and lower highs, and then at this point, we're pretty much shifted. We're in this kind of rapidly moving 4-hour trend. We can clearly see this high was retested as a higher low, pushed to the upside. Then we had this little high right here, which was never even retested, and then now we had another level. Now let's just remove these and get something a little bit more significant. Let's bring on, let's just zoom out a little bit. I'm just going to bring on a little support and resistance level right here. Just tighten it up a little bit. So the way that I'm looking at it is let's get this, we had support here, resistance here, and we had support here. Indecision all along this level, nothing with too much conviction. But then we have resistance, resistance, resistance all along this area. So now we've just broken this main level of resistance, this is the area where we should be looking for buys. I said this last week on GJ. I'll say this again. GJ's looking very bullish. We're in this kind of rapidly moving 4-hour trend. We just broke a major resistance zone, and now we have this spinning top forming on the 4-hour time frame. So pretty much what I'm looking for with GJ ultimately is I do want to target back to that high up here. Obviously, TP1 is down here. TP2 can be right there, but ultimately, I'm looking to swing trade this all the way back up into that level. And just thinking about it pretty logically here, if price breaks out of this zone, we don't really want to be in the trade. So this is the trade idea on GJ. This is at least idea number one, is literally to take a long right now. I'm gonna actually go ahead and get in on this one whenever we're done with the call, because it does look like a decent trade. Now, trade path number two is if we start to get below kind of this area, we hit our stop loss. This is gonna quickly turn into a potential sell. So we're gonna keep that in mind as well. This would then be trade number two. If the momentum breaks, maybe that head and shoulders pattern we just talked about, that thing comes into play. Don't get discouraged from hitting stops on this one. This will be the next kind of follow up trade right here, and this one would be a good trade to go after. I just want to see one thing here. So we've got, this is definitely a significant level right here. So what we have marked is definitely going to be an area where if price does manage to break below here, we're going to, shift into that selling mindset. So that's GU. This is going to be a trade, that I take. I think it's a GJ one time. This is GU. This is a trade that I'm going to be looking to take. GJ is going to be looking very similar. We're going to get to that in a second. Let's just go to UCAD. So UCAD was a trade that we gave out a couple weeks ago, and it finally started to play out. It came super close, actually, to hitting stops, but it did actually manage to play out. So let's just come up to the weekly time frame. I just want to clear some of this up because at this point, I'm not even in this trade, so I want to just take off a few things so that we can get like a new idea on here based on where we're at. All right, so looking at it like this, let's just zoom out. This is not as relevant for us, this like upper weekly zone. So I'm just gonna remove this. I'm gonna actually just remove everything, and we're just gonna kind of zoom out on this, take a look and see where is our zones. So we've definitely got a bit of a zone right here. And this is gonna be based on, I'm gonna move this up slightly. This is based on, let's go, this. We've got resistance here. We got resistance here. We got support all along this area. Don't even need to go that back, far that back. And then we've got support here, and then coming more to where we currently are. We had resistance all along this area. Price ultimately broke out of this and fell pretty hard to the downside. And then we also have some support in this area. Nothing too crazy over here, honestly. But for me, I'm really just looking for a continuation. Looking at this, look how last week formed, guys. Huge push to the downside. We are not really at any sort of support level. If we do zoom out on this one, we can see that we do have a support and resistance level really down in this area, and we can move it up just a little bit more. We'll move it up to like right here. So as we can see, we've got resistance here, support, and look how price shot up off of this area as well. So definitely a strong zone, shot up like literally 500 pips off of this price. So this was obviously a price at which a lot of buyers stepped in at. So when we get back down here, certainly we're going to start to think about reversals, but like we're all the way up here right now, coming to the 4-hour, we don't even want to zoom out too much. All we can really see is we can see a breakdown of this level. We broke some support, and then this turned into resistance. And then ultimately, this is where we're at. So all I'm going to worry about right now is looking for a retest of this zone. So I'm going to bring on some fibs. I'm going to fib all the way from this area. So we just need a pullback. We need a pullback on this. There's literally nothing else to do. I mean, I'm not trying to get down to the lower time frame. I'm not exactly seeing a continuation pattern which coincides with like anything significant on the 4 hour. We do have a little 4 hour level right here. So I'm just going to mark this down. All right, so let's revise this idea. This is going to be a little bit more risky because it doesn't have multiple confirmations, but there is a 4 hour resistance level right there. As you can see, support, resistance. So this is definitely a level that we want to keep our eye on. So if price does manage to pull back to this 90900 level, as soon as I see some rejection, I'm going to be looking to swing trade this thing to the downside. But nothing right now on that one. Let's go over to NU next. Let's bump up to the weekly time frame. So we've got our weekly zones marked. If you've been coming on the calls, you could tell last couple weeks have been super fucking sloppy with this. Um, We've got another fucking doji last week. All this is telling me is price keeps pulsing into this 6,900 level. We are going to see the reversal of the ages. We're going to see a reversal back into the high right there. So it's going to happen sooner than later. But as we come down to the 4 hour, you know, going into last week, it was like the same kind of deal. We pulsed into that 4 hour level or that weekly level, but we still didn't break 4 hour structure. Let's go all the way back kind of to the beginning of last week, which is going to be the 25th, I believe, somewhere around there. Here we go. So this was last week. We had price pulse down in that area, very bearish, clearly forming lower lows and lower highs. And then what did last week do? We had that sell that we gave out, and then it came back. And this is exactly like we're in the same exact kind of position right now. It's like, are we going to anticipate an early buy? No, thank you. We're going to wait until this trend like really officially does change. Right now, it's still just bearish. It's not breaking out at all. We don't want to get kind of too ahead of ourselves here, long too early. Like this is definitely still a bearish trend. I'm just going to zoom out a little bit, and I just want to mark down kind of two levels for us. Two levels that are going to be relevant, though. So we have this area, which was definitely resistance, then acted as support. And then zooming in on this, we can clearly see resistance, resistance, support, support. Then we also have some indecision around this area, but acted as resistance, fell off. So whenever prices reach this area, literally so many times. We have one time right there. We have one time here, one time here, and then we had this time. These are the most relevant times. Then obviously, more recently, we had this touch right now. So pretty much what I can use this area for is I don't want to take buys unless we get above this area. If price breaks this main resistance level that it's been testing and respecting over and over again, then we'll take buys. But for now, we're not going to take shit on this when it comes to buys. I'm going to be more looking to sell. And if I'm going to want to sell this, I'm going to want a continuation of this push down. And where would I take a sell would be literally right here. I'm just marking this based on resistance. We had some support right here. This is like all lower time frame shit, lower time frame structure. We can even look back, all resistance over here. We had some support up here. So this is just kind of a zone where previously price has rejected or respected. So if I was getting like a little bit crazy with the sells on this one, this is where I would be going. We'd be retargeting back into our lower region, and then I would put my stops probably up here just to play it safe. That'd be about 2.5 to 1. So this would be my first trade idea considering what the trend actually is. And then in anticipation of the other side of this would be idea number 2. I would not do any longs until we like officially break out of this downward trend. TP1 would just be these previous highs, and we'd have more than enough kind of risk reward on that one. This. So that's NU, no trade right now. And then last but not least, I'm going to get into GJ. So GJ and GU are very similar coming to the weekly time frame. This weekly wick is nasty, it's very definitely significant. It's about 300 pip wick. So when sellers were deep on that in that week and buyers came back really to take control of that, which says a lot. We are in the middle of kind of no man's land right now. I've got my lower level marked based on all of this resistance. I've got my upper level marked based on all of this resistance right there. So we got to get down to like a lower time frame and see what's going on. And pretty much in the lower time frame, I'm already seeing a break of the momentum. So we're clearly seeing price start to shift on this one from forming those lower highs to now all of a sudden, we're in this kind of like upward trend. We don't want to look too far into this right now. I don't want to zoom in too much because then I can say, oh, we just broke support right there, blah, blah, blah. I kind of want to zoom out and I want to look at, I had marked this level previously. And let's just take a look. I might even mark a new level, but I can see now why I have this. We have support all in this area. Let's just use this tool and map it out. So we've got support there, resistance, support, resistance. So all along this area, we have all of those support and resistance. So now at this point, look what price is doing. We're back in that support level. We did form sort of like a low volume candle right here. We're slowing up after this push down, but we need to see more conviction. I'll long this if we see an engulfing of this small candle. So that tells me the lower time frame is already shifting. So that's my idea on GJ. I would be targeting back up to that weekly resistance level if we did start to, or if we did get that engulfing candle. It's very clear that this is the more significant zone up here, 155, 156, that price. And then coming to the 4 hour, we have multiple things to target. First, we could target this area. Next TP can be up here, then up here, then all the way up there. But I am anticipating these buys, and I'm actually just going to mark down some of these take profit levels just for my own reference.
So there's some movement this week. We're expecting some things.
Oh, there's a lot of movement. Yeah. Nothing too crazy. I mean, like last week I had like 3 trades given out on the session. Today it's really only GU is like the only trade that I'm personally going to take. Looking at GJ again, if this thing starts to move lower, when would I go ahead and start taking sells on this again? I'm just going to bump up to the weekly. Like this just looks terrible. This wick, it just doesn't look good. But in the event that price fails right here, I will only take a sell upon like a retest of this zone. So let me clean this up a little bit more. What I'm basically looking at is because we did get below this support level, we're right at the support level here. If price decides not to engulf and just simply moves a bit lower and then forms like a retest lower high, we should be shorting this thing literally right away because this will fall for the entire week. So that's idea number 1. And then this is going to be idea number 2. And idea number 2, we'll target this level first, but there's going to be a lot of room. You can move stops a bit tighter. There's going to be a lot of room for this to fall. So main 2 trades of the week, we've got GU, GJ. The rest of them, UCAD, we should already be in from last week, and we're waiting on that retest to get in. USEF, very similar, waiting on the retest to get in, and then NU, it is coming back. It's coming back up. I just don't like how NU is the opposite of the dollar index. That's why last week I got out of this trade a little early, ended up smashing another 50 pips, but I got out of it like right here, and I was only up about 20 pips, 25 pips. But it's like the opposite of the DXY right now. DXY showing us could be a little bullish, then continue with the bearish trends. NU showing us we could be like a little bullish, then continue with the bearish trend, but that's the complete opposite of the dollar. And I do like to use the dollar for confirmation. So we'll see. I'll probably try to steer clear of like these aggressive NU sells, but we'll see. So last week we did a little update in the middle of the week on how the analysis was playing out. So I'll probably do that again this week, and then that's pretty much it analysis wise. And then I mean update wise, we are going to be doing something new starting this week. We've been calling it. I've been posting about it, the Gladiator Challenge. So pretty much two Forex League members are going to start trading a funded trader challenge this week, and we're going to put the investor passwords. We're going to make them public, so everyone's going to be able to follow along with these two members, see how they're doing, provide feedback. It'll all be inside of the Telegram, but it's going to be super interesting. They obviously have 35 days to do the challenge, and we did give it to them for free. They're two members that have been working really hard on their craft, on their strategy. So at this point, we felt as though they were ready to take it on, and obviously they agreed to do it too, get a free account. So that's going to be going on starting this week. That's going to be again very interesting. I'll also post some other updates. Yeah, Darren's going to be one of them. He's actually in the call right now. So best of luck to him. And yeah, other updates I'll probably post more tomorrow. Sunday's gonna be, always a bit slow Sunday night. But I'm gonna get into this GU trade. I'll manage it through the week. And then yeah, if you guys have any questions, just message us in Telegram. If you are watching on YouTube, make sure you guys subscribe, like the video, maybe comment a suggestion or anything like that. And hope you
Yeah,
guys have a
yeah,
good week.
yeah. Enjoy the rest of the weekend, guys, and good luck this week. We'll see you guys.
Oh yeah. Peace out, everybody.